Real Talk with Grace Redman features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redman.
I am Grace Redman, and I am so excited to bring you Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. Today, my incredible guest is Elise Bigley. Elise is a professional makeup artist and hairstylist specializing in commercial, film, portrait, and bridal artistry. She has been in the industry for 20 years, servicing the San Francisco Bay Area and the Los Angeles areas. Working dynamically with each client, she creates an artistic approach to achieve the vision for the imagery and production. She loves and is experienced across the entire range of makeup artistry, spanning from camera ready, editorial glam to abstract and special effects. I am so excited to welcome Elise to the show today. Elise.
Oh, hi.
Welcome, sweet girl. How are you?
I am good. I love the introduction. Thank you.
You are so welcome. It's so awesome to see you today. I miss you. What's happening?
Oh man, let's see. I have been working a lot. I do a lot of like e-com and commercial work. Much during the week I'm doing that, and now bridal season is back in full force. So kind of going all over and doing some glam.
That's awesome. And you know me, I love glam because you've glammed me up before and I love it. I wish I could hire you every day, just have you with me every day. It's fun. It's really fun. And something for me, like when I was with you and kind of you glam me up, it feels like just stepping into your feminine divine and just owning that part of us as women that I feel like we rarely step into. So having the opportunity to play with you a few times has been amazing. So thank you, girl. Thank you.
And I have to say, you can rock a red lip better than any of them. You're kind of amazing. So yeah.
Thank you. So I'm so excited to have you on today because I've also been witnessing your journey. I loved watching you on KTVU Channel 2 News with Frank Somerville. That was amazing. I was like, that's my girl on the news. So I'm really excited to talk about, the different things that have been happening for you. Sure. One thing that I kind of wanted to touch on being, your industry, was kind of, was a lot of it is luxury. How did, the pandemic affect what you were doing and how did you kind of manage that? How did you navigate that, pivot that?
I think from about March to like June or so, I just assumed I'm never going to work again. Like I touch people's faces for a living. Like that's like ground zero of, like the pandemic at the time. So I kind of took that time to think and plan what I wanted to do long-term and how I was going to still incorporate makeup and doing kind of in the beauty industry because it's like truly my passion. So I couldn't think of, going and pivoting to something else. So I focused more on like production and commercial work because even through the pandemic, different companies will be able to, provide testing and make sure that all the people are safe and handling it properly versus the freelance side of my work where it's kind of like you don't really know how to navigate. So I went a more stable route for the pandemic portion and was able to work actually a lot during the time. Mainly the only hit that my business had was with like personal branding shoots as well as like bridal because all the weddings were unfortunately canceled and a lot of uncertainty there. I'm a little bit grateful for it though because it did get me a lot more spread out across the artistry range. So to be more behind the cameras and then the production side of things was a really cool step.
And I think I witnessed part of that. I know you had some really awesome contracts come up through that time. You know what? I think you're echoing. Are you also watching yourself live?
I can see myself. Yeah. It's
Okay.
not in like a different screen though.
Okay. So maybe it'll just these tech difficulties, it'll pass.
Oh, fun. Okay.
But I love what you said that there wasn't really the bridal or the branding image or the branding work, but
Mhm.
you moved into the commercial side of things with different corporations and companies. Now, how did you do that? Did you just know like, okay, like I'm going to focus here, or do you have a team that you work with that says, okay, Lise, now it's time to pivot to this place?
Sure. Mainly it's just through networking over the years. I get to meet all sorts of incredible people in my line of work, from actors and actresses to people that are just wearing makeup for the first time. So there's a really huge range of careers and paths that people are on. So fortunately, I have connected with just tons of amazing artists and different like production people, like directors or producers, and a lot of agents. So I redid my website and kind of revamped everything that I'd done and kind of marketed myself to go into that line of work. So
Mm.
currently I'm signed with an agency, and I kind of like built up to that point to get signed and represented to be able to like branch out to do even more, from that.
That's super exciting, like doing makeup for artists and actresses and
Yeah.
actors. What's that like? Is it as glamorous as it seems, or is it like, you
It's
know
not. It's not. Um, it's really cool. Like I get nervous beforehand, and I'm like, ooh, like I wonder if they're gonna like it or this or that. But I've probably done like tens of thousands of people's makeup at this time, and like once you start, it's just all like relaxing and fine. But I do kind of get in my head a little bit beforehand. In terms of like glamorous, no, usually they're in like studios and it's kind of cramped and like, you're kind of wherever it needs to take place. So that like once I did it inside of a mine, it was like
What?
this horror movie. So we had to go like wear hard hats into a mine and like set up in one of like the little shafts. And I'm like, well, this is like hazard
Oh
pay, I
my
would assume.
oh my God, in a
Yeah.
mine, like, you couldn't do the makeup outside and then get into the mine?
No, because when they start filming for a movie, you have to like be on the set and
Mhm,
like able to
mhm,
jump in at any point.
mhm.
So, wherever the production has to take place, you kind of have to set up. So it's usually not like glitzy and glammy in a studio. It's, in a car maybe,
Or in a mine.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And so your career, I mean, it spans 20 years.
Mhm.
When you were growing up, did you say, "I wanna become a makeup artist and do makeup for actresses and actors?" I mean, what was your vision? Did you have a vision?
I was, I think, like 7 or 8, and I would start taking change from inside of the sofa, and I would go to Long's, and I would get, Bonnie Bell lip smackers and,
Ah, I
like,
remember
all
that.
of these right? Like, all of these little, like, things for it, and I would do kids on my block, and I just thought it was, like, super fun. And then in high school, when I was 15, I got my first, job at Macy's at the
Mhm,
benefit counter.
nice.
So like from that point, I'm like, this is the end all be all say all in
Mhm,
makeup. Like my career has peaked. But I always wanted to go more into like the freelance side. And I moved up with different companies and like in doing like account coordinator executive. So it kind of helped me with like the business aspect
mhm.
of learning how to navigate freelance. But once my kids were born, I decided that, I wanted to be able to make my schedule and kind of create a path that isn't as traditional necessarily, and kind of model something for them to find, different opportunities out there, even if they're not as conventional one.
And I love that, I love that. I took that route as well.
Yeah.
And when I mean, it's not an easy step to take. What motivated you to, leave your corporate positions and start
Mhm.
freelancing? Was it just, I know you had your kids, but
Yeah.
was it something that happened, when you're deciding to become a mother? Was it, an impactful event, or you had already
Mhm.
had this in mind?
I think it was, yeah, when I became a mom, that was a big thing because I couldn't think of being gone like every day, at some place for 8 hours or so. So I had to figure out how to like transition into something that was a little bit more flexible. But at the same time, I kind of had this little like internal crisis when it came to what I was doing for work because it seemed like people wouldn't look at you very seriously from like a department store kind of level of like, this is really what I want to do. They're like, oh, okay, you work at X, Y, and Z, or it just felt like I needed to do something that kind of showcase like, no, this is an artistry. Like this
Mhm.
is, there are different paths to it than just, what maybe some people perceive it as. So the combination of the becoming a mom and role modeling with, that kind of led me into where I am.
I mean, and again, 20 years in the industry, now you
Mhm.
have an agent. I mean, you get calls for, large corporations. I know like Levi's and Hollywood actors and actresses. What what's we're always going to face challenges. What has been your biggest challenge from the start to where you are now?
Um, I think that the biggest challenge is getting used to being told no a lot, or not being contacted back, or their communication ending based on not wanting to pursue something with me, or to like um, yeah, just kind of push into doors of other places. I had to get used to some like letdowns and not take it
Mhm.
personally, like it's because of my type of work necessarily. It's just circumstantial in a way.
Mhm.
But that's helped me a lot, because now for the different doors that are closed, the ones that do open are super cool, because you have to keep
Yes,
going for them.
yes.
um so that was challenging at first, and then um certain like I don't know, just it's there's a saying that says, it's not who you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not. So
Yeah.
sometimes I didn't feel like as deserving, or as like even artistically talented as some of my colleagues who are like phenomenal. I'm like, well, I get this super cool thing. Like, I don't feel as like deserving of it. But I think in all of our ways, like we work towards certain things, and what is handed to you, you have to also appreciate and like know that it's your opportunity too.
Well, you are phenomenal, and I hear you when you say, like, that voice in the head. I mean, what
Mhm.
you just described sounds like imposter syndrome,
Sure.
which, we which is gets talked about. I mean, even J.Lo has talked about it. When you hear that voice in your head, number 1, whose voice is it? Is it your voice?
I would say it is. I mean, I think I'm my own worst critic when it comes to things, because art is so like personal in a way, and like how you perform and do something. So I take it very internally when it comes to it. So I think a lot of it was me doubting myself, or kind of in hopes what the client would be really happy with.
And so when you hear that voice and you're doubting yourself, how do you move through it?
Um, I just realized, I'm here, I'm capable, like I
Mhm.
know that I can do this. And then I just dive into it. I mean, worst possible scenario is not going to be worse than what the best outcome of it would be. So,
Right?
just getting through it, and yeah, feeling good at the end of it. Like almost all of the time, by the time I'm done, it's like, okay, that was cool. Like that was
Right?
fun. Yeah, nothing negative about it.
And so, and we're also we learn. I mean, in my 20 plus year career, I've made, mistakes. And now as I look back, I'm like, okay, that mistake, I learned from it. Even though
Mhm.
in the moment it stung and it didn't feel good, because as a perfectionist and the critics of ourselves, like we don't want to make mistakes. But
Right.
those really help us grow and learn.
Yeah.
What was a mistake that you made, or a failure that you had, that you thought, oh my God, this is terrible. But in hindsight, it turned out to be a great learning experience.
Um, Ooh, I would say I was working for this one company that I had left makeup for maybe like 6 months to a year. It was right after um, I decided I wanted to have kids at some point, and like move my relationship at the time to like marriage and all that kind of thing. So I stepped away from makeup, and worked at just this company, and unfortunately they let me go. And I had like already in my head said, I'm going to do something that's not makeup related, that it's going to be taken more seriously and as like a type of work. um I hated it because I wasn't creative, I wasn't doing anything. It was very I needed to do something else, so it was a good thing that they had let me go. But that, in combination with me becoming pregnant shortly thereafter, I'm like, okay, this is like my catalyst. So in hindsight, yeah, it looked like it was just like done. Like I couldn't figure out the whole like makeup department side, and like not wanting to grow with the company in the business sense. And then I try something totally different and that doesn't work out. So I'm like, well, it's I felt pretty defeated.
Mhm.
But having my daughter, it was almost like I was birthing my career as well, because it was
Mm.
like, okay, like I have this human being that I love so much, and like I want to, help guide them in life, and I have to be successful at what I love if I'm going to hope that of my children.
Yeah.
So, um, kind of at the same time, like I treat my business like one of my children. Like I put all of my time and energy and like, self into it. Um, so I'm really happy that, kind of things started crumbling when they did. Because yeah,
Isn't that amazing that from sometimes our, like you said, the crumbles comes the opportunities and possibilities.
yes.
And something that you mentioned is doing hard things.
Mm,
And from doing hard things, that's where opportunity and possibilities come through. So share with us a little bit about something, hard that you've had to do, whatever you'd like to share personally and professionally,
yeah.
that really ended up being transformational for you.
Um, I think stepping away and like going into the freelance world really was something hard to like let go of, and like the stability of like this weird thing called like health insurance or like paid time off or like that was pretty scary. One like so in the professional sense, like going from that to freelance and kind of the unknown was hard. um After having my kids, my marriage ended, so when that happened, kind of like stepping into the unknown of like work, or just like refinding what your passions are and like who you are separately was a challenge, but it is also like maybe the most empowering thing that
For
I've
sure.
experienced, because you really get to take in your own interests and likes and person into something and become stronger in so many areas. So because of that, I feel extremely resilient. So when it comes to like work now, I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'll get through this.
You got it.
So yeah, I feel like it is a strengthening part of life too.
For sure. And I'm gonna, you mentioned that once you had your kids, your
Yeah.
marriage ended and you made the
Uh-huh.
decision to move forward. And so now here you were with a career and young kids, as a single mother. How did you balance all of that? Because I also know from, supporting friends through divorces, it's very difficult emotionally. And
Mhm.
it just takes a toll on you. However,
Mhm.
you continued, running your business. Like, how are you able to manage such a life change and keep everything afloat at the same time?
Um, I think when, people get stressed over individual things that are happening, and they can like become bigger in your head sometimes and
Mhm.
feel challenging to tackle. I am like the number one person that will probably do that. But at a certain point, like there's almost this level of clarity that you have to have, because you're like, okay, I have these kids, like I have to figure out like scheduling and childcare and time frames, and then you have everything else that's going on personally that you're navigating, and then work. So it's kind of like you become laser focused in a
Mhm.
way to just like keep going forward and moving, because if you stop too long in one area, then everything is going to start feeling like it's not being managed in other places. So um, yeah, I mean, it really, I feel like I'm an A+ scheduler now. So I'm really good at like, responding, and like I say that I have like thunder thumbs because of like, getting the clients again, or, being on sets and like handling, my mom life as well, like kind of
Mhm.
simultaneously.
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like Grand Central Station. So organizational, I've really become good at.
I love you have to, you
Yeah.
have to be very organized.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with that being said, how do you, because you're running around, you're doing so much, you have the business and the girls and
Mhm.
organizing. What do you do for yourself to help yourself stay sane and grounded? Because I know burnout very well, because I've been
Mhm.
there and done that. What
Mhm.
do you do for yourself to help yourself, not burn out?
Yeah. A lot of times I like to do art. So, like, aside from just doing makeup, I'll draw or I'll paint. Anything that involves creating, like, kind of like centers me and balances me out a little bit. So, I like to take time to like start little projects. I don't necessarily like finish all of them or get them as far
Mhm.
as I'd like, but like it's relaxing, and I incorporate my kids with it, and try to get them to help or to do their own thing with it. They're not quite as interested, but I try when I can. And then yeah, just like like on the opposite end, it's like if I always feel like I'm creating or like drawing or doing some kind of artistry, then it feels like work instead of me like never feeling like I'm working, which is super fortunate. So sometimes I'll do things that are more like just outside or like go on hikes or walks, just kind of center that way.
Get centered, and I love being in nature as well. I mean, that helps me. That really helps me. Pre-pandemic, I would never really go out into nature because, again, you're so busy, you don't think about it. And now, I mean, I have to get outside at least a couple times a week, and that really definitely helps get centered, especially when, there's chaotic days and weeks happening.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's super therapeutic. I love it. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Something else that came up in our past conversations is kind of fear. And once we move through that fear, the opportunities and possibilities that are on the other side.
Yeah.
How do you move through your fear? Like when that fear comes up?
Usually well, I mean, I don't know if this is the most healthy way to deal with fear, but for me, what's worked is that I think of the worst possible scenario. I'm like, okay, what about this situation is really going to, be affected? And then usually whatever the worst thing that I can come up with as a situation is not really that bad once you think about it. So when, like if you analyze it, then I just say, look, if that's what's going to happen, like I'm going to try to do everything to like move past that and get to the point that I want to be. So it almost like keeps in the back of your head, like it's okay if this ends up being the case, but you just have to try anyway. And then it takes you to the other side of it because, usually it's a lot better than what you expected. And, once that happens, it kind of encourages you to take a little bit more of a leap the next time and to kind of trust whatever process or, thing that you're going through is going to take you to a better spot if you just kind of persevere a little bit more.
I love that word persevere, and you used also the word, tenacious earlier. And I've witnessed you kind of move through so many different experiences, and I know you had that life challenge and kind of moving into different things, and you do it so gracefully. Make it seem so graceful. When you're in that place where which we all get to, and we have that. We get discouraged and it just feels like exhausting to move forward. What helps you just to continue to move forward?
I would just say my kids are always going to be kind of the first reason. I do feel like I have a duty to like show them that they have to like have strength to the best of their ability. So to kind of, even when there are more challenging times, be it like personal or professional, that you have to just keep showing up, that you're going to continue to try and, try a different approach, because even if they're not involved with like what you're specifically doing or trying to get to, they see the attempts and the effort into it. So I would say that they're a big reason for it. And then myself, because like I said, like I have spent so many years like hyper focused on this type of industry, and like at this point I just have to make it work. Like there's just like not really a plan B, so plan A is to work.
Yeah, but I mean, is it something you have to do, or is it like your passion? It seems like you love
it is my I don't feel like I'm working. That's the thing.
that.
Is like I want to keep claiming that for the rest of my life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just I get to like meet all sorts of people like every day, and like I get to play and do something that I like already love doing. And I have like so many cool like coworkers and colleagues and people in this industry that I've met over the years that like have become friends. So and then I get paid. So I was like, how does this work? Yeah.
I love that. And I've heard that so, over and over, like find something that you love and you'll succeed at it. And it's not always that simple.
Right.
So what are some actions that, you took? Because, there's other people in your industry who didn't achieve the success you have. What are some of the actions that you took to help you kind of just blossom and be very successful at what you do?
I think it's also cool because sometimes if like successes don't feel like a success, they are still something positive is going to come from it. So like I've worked with so many different makeup artists that like, let's say they aren't hired on to a set that I am on necessarily. I don't feel like there's competition with people that are in like kind of this freelance world, because we're super supportive of like whatever moves they're trying to make. And even if it seems like something that's not going to work, to like encourage them to stay freelancing and to kind of like, help them out whenever you can. I have a lot of artists that will send me work that they're, too booked to do, or they have, other things that are going on. And I like to do the same. Like if so it's like a community kind of that you make with one another in a way, versus it being kind of like one success over the other. So, you try to help when you can with the people that are kind of with you.
I
But
love that.
then, yeah, it's super awesome. It's encouraging, and like so many artists that brought me onto sets that then helped get me to meet different producers, and like then they would remember and hire me on for other things, or
Mm.
just like the different collaborations. I'm super grateful for. And then hoping that I can kind of return those as they come. But yeah, it's I think that what kind of kept me going to like other successes was like, um, again, like not being afraid to hear no, or to worry about how I was personally perceived. It's just what opportunities I was able to like somehow align with. So,
Mm. I
yeah.
like that. And I like that how you said align. I mean, you're right.
Mhm.
Like what's meant for us is meant for us. It's an
Exactly.
alignment. And the other thing I really read into what you're saying is there's no competition. And I believe that. I believe
Yeah.
there's more than enough to go around for everyone. And also how you created community to help each other and support each other. And I really believe in that. And
Mhm.
I know that about you, that you're very kind and giving and helping, and helpful, and you want each person, to succeed to, to what their, definition of success is.
Mhm.
And I love that because there is no competition.
Right.
It's like we're all competing with ourselves, and there's more enough success, business, abundance to go around for everyone.
Sure.
And, especially, we don't have to be afraid, if this
Mhm.
person's doing it, and there's not going to be enough for me.
Right.
It's there's more than enough to go around for everyone. The most important thing is us to be in alignment with ourselves, and that's how we'll attract the opportunities and possibilities. And you've done an incredible job at that.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, it's been really fun, like just kind of seeing how everything works in like the production side of things, or the behind the scenes. Yeah, it feels pretty amazing.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. It sounds, and like I said, I've been able to watch so much of your journey, and it's been really incredible to witness. What I loved was during Halloween, how
Mhm.
you're like creating. Can you tell our audiences a little bit about what you're creating? Like these face makeup, where it was like, talk to them about it. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So I do special effects makeup, or at least I mean, I'm not like formally trained in it, but I enjoy doing it, and drawing. I don't know if I can swear, but weird stuff on my face. And so like during Halloween, or that kind of time, I like to get a little creative, because a lot of times like you just do normal glamour looks throughout the year, and like granted it's different on every person, but sometimes you just want to get a little more crazy with it. So I'll do these like kind of they're more like illusion makeups versus
Mhm.
like prosthetics or anything like
Total
that. So
illusions.
yeah, like I've made my face a hamburger, and like, just a zombie, or, make it look like I'm missing pieces of flesh. Like,
It's incredible. I'm like, how did she do that when I've seen the pictures? And maybe later we can share some of those pictures um, in the comments for anyone who might be interested in, Halloween makeup. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I like to draw a lot. My mom is an artist, so I kind of would see her with all her pastels and watercolors and like canvases growing up, and then it just kind of changed that my canvas happened to be a face
Mhm.
versus paper.
Nice.
So yeah, I just kind of use those kind of upbringing techniques and experiences to go a little crazy with this part.
I love it. It's amazing. And if when you have a chance, if you can shoot some into the post, that would be amazing. So
Sure.
we can see them.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did you have a mentor through your career, or was it just one person, many people?
I think there have been many people. which is super fortunate that, you know, I've had that many inspirations and like people that have been like that awesome to really impact me. I think that just in various fields or, you know, types of the work that I do, there have been like kind of your coaches and your cheerleaders that are like kind of helping encourage you and really taking into account what you want to do overall and doing the best that they can to help you get there. Is really profound. So, you know, it makes a huge difference. When I first started, one of my friends brought me in to do my first film because their makeup artist was looking for an assistant. So it was kind of one of those like someone you know that you know that you know got you to do
network.
something, which is a lot of how this industry works. But they brought me on to my first film, and there was like the first famous people that I had met. And, you know, I was really grateful and overwhelmed, like, whoa, like I've only done, you know, this much makeup in comparison. Like, I don't know if I'm meant for this at this moment, but really wanting to do it. And the key makeup artist was just, like so nice to me. And like, she was, you know, sometimes there are other experiences that there aren't very like overly friendly people that you might work with, but she was incredible and really you know, kind of guided me about how the industry works, how it's like to be on a set, giving me just general knowledge and taking the time to help me like kind of adapt to it. And to this day, like she still does that kind of work and she's like super incredible. And like, you know, we'll say hi every now and again. And like, it's just like this nice relationship. And Heidi and Tara in her image, how we met, I hadn't started my freelance career yet, or I had just been doing like mainly bridal and that kind of thing, and maybe a handful of photo shoots before. They, I feel, took a chance with me to bring me and like refer me out to their clients, and they have, you know, such a broad client base, and to like trust me with that and learn kind of the photography side of makeup and kind of understand these different various industries. And I'm super uber grateful for them, and like always have like a soft spot, like, you know, for them helping and doing that. So yeah, it's just kind of across the board, you'll meet people that will, you know, just help you and be excited by what success you're looking for.
It's and also like you also have such a positive attitude. You know, you're always, even, you know, through, if something's not working out, you seem to see the bright side of that. Where does that come from? That part of you where you're just, you know, very positive and you always see the bright side of things. I know there's not always, but you
Yeah.
typically.
You know, I think when, you know, over the years, you'll experience like the dark side of things and like just personal or work wise or whatever it is, that at a certain point you can only see like the dark side of things, which trust me, you get there.
I
But
know.
when you see the bright side of things, like it's even brighter and kind of like more encouraging. So I feel like it's just like a contrast type of move to try to look at that part of it when you can, because they make them more important because of the darker sides, you know. So I think it's gratitude, I guess, then for the brighter parts and to be
Yes.
positive about those.
Yes, the gratitude. I mean, that's the magic ingredient. Whenever I find myself falling, because, you know, we're human and we're going to start focusing on those things that aren't working, or on the things that didn't go our way, I have to stop and remind myself that the gratitude is really the key ingredient. And the contrast. It's like we're not always going to be in this up state. You're right. We need the darkness and the brightness to help us appreciate, you know, these beautiful things. And for me, and if this resonates with you, it's through my darkest times that get me to the freedom. Because when I'm comfortable, I don't really feel like want to move through change or change. But it's in those times where I feel really pain. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be in this pain or darkness. I want to move through to get to the other side. And that's when I'm like, okay, I just had the most amazing transformation and growth from this pain.
Yeah, exactly. I actually just heard on set the other day, like a breakdown makes a breakthrough, you know, so you just, it just brings you out to another end of it. But yeah, I mean, it's also to know that like I get to do this, that like just working for myself and like moving and being kind of like productive with how I'm trying to run my business. Like I got this. So like I have to be grateful for it because 5 year ago Elise or 10-year ago Elise was trying to get to this point. So you have to like stop and,
Mhm.
you know, kind of take tabs on where you're at and to see like there are a lot of things around that are great.
And I like that because I feel, especially as women, we don't take the time to celebrate.
Yeah.
And you just reminded me of, okay, like to look back and see, how far we've come and to celebrate those moments. And
Mm,
it's not always the big wins. It's like it's those small actions that get us, the small ones that get us to the big win. And the big win is where you are today,
yeah.
and
And
do we celebrate that?
yeah. And knowing that like it's incremental too, it's not like you're going to wake up at this one spot. So it
No.
also reminds you to like put in the work to like keep
Mhm,
going so that you can
mhm,
continue having this hindsight approach to what you've done,
mhm.
and not just peak.
And when you say put in the work, what does that exactly mean?
I think that that's just, when my business, a lot of times, like I'll get contacted, but to also realize like I have to also reach out. Like I have to like put myself out there. I have to promote myself. I have to be able to like advocate and like, sell myself.
Mhm.
So to realize that there is a level of not just receiving, like, oh, this is so great. Like you have
Oh,
to actually put yourself out there and network and make connections and learn different skills or techniques or information, to make sure that you are prepared and like ready for kind of anything that will present itself.
for sure. I mean, having my own business, that's the action needs to constantly, I need to constantly take action. But what I've learned over the years is where used to feel heavy, like I have to take this action. I'm like, you know what? I'm just networking and meeting people and learning about, what's going on in their day. So it didn't feel like such a heavy action to take. Because being an entrepreneur, like you said, you have to put yourself out there, and it's not always easy.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
just like you said, you view this as, you know, you love your business, it's your passion, it's fun.
Mhm.
And so if
Right.
you can view it that way. And my shift came is when I stopped viewing it as, okay, this is sales, this actually
Mm.
sales related. It's more like, no, it's building relationships.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I think that your business, when you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, it becomes a part of you. So
Mhm.
essentially, like you are your own brand. So
Yes,
you have to kind of treat it that way.
absolutely. Absolutely. You are the brand,
Right. Right.
you know. And so on this journey, and you don't have to answer this question. Is there anything that, you've regretted that you wish you could have done different?
um. Hmm. I think I. That's a good question. I would have probably paused a little bit more and not jumped on like the first available like opportunity. I would want to be more intentional with different projects or like avenues that I would go down. I am very ambitious and sometimes that can be impulsive. So to just kind of take more of a pause and,
Mhm,
really see if something is a good path to go down instead of
mhm,
just like, I'm going to give it a try. And if it doesn't work, then it
mhm,
doesn't work.
mhm,
I think that would have saved a lot of stress. I think it would have saved a lot of like just overall output of energy so that you wouldn't have as many like daunting type of situations. I think that with um, yeah, it's a part of growth, I guess, is that
mhm.
you're gonna have those and see what works
Absolutely.
better. So I
And,
feel
and
like I'm
it's
yeah.
and it's learning. You learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can relate to that because I'm very ambitious and I would take on projects and then I'd step back. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I
Right.
done? And I'd burn out. And
Mm,
now I've learned, like you've, mentioned, to be very intentional,
mm,
and discerning of where I invest, my energy. And yeah, business has so many different moving components,
yeah,
and we get to choose those components of the business that we really want to focus on, and we'll still be successful.
right.
We'll still be successful. It doesn't have to be, spread so thin.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I think then I think it helped me be better at taking on different work and like when it was good and like what connections or companies maybe are a better fit and like that I'm a good fit for them, because there are so many different makeup artists and like personalities also. Like it's not personal if you go a different direction, because it's just it's not what you're meant for, but it doesn't mean like overall, you know.
Absolutely. And I've learned that as well. It's like, I'm not going to be a fit for everyone and they're not a fit for me. It doesn't mean that I'm not, good at what I do. It's just, like you said, there's so many different options and it's about the fit for sure.
Yeah.
I had to learn that the hard way.
Right. It's usually one of those like hindsight situations where you're like, well, I shouldn't have pushed for that so hard. And,
But you learn. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still learning what works for me, what doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So for someone in our audience that's watching, that's interested in kind of jumping in and starting their own business, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would be relentless and just really promote yourself and not feel like embarrassed or like weird about putting yourself out there. If it's something that you've really been passionate about, like even if it's like washing windows or like becoming an executive chef somewhere, like make it known and put it out there that like that is what you do and you're going to attract people to that.
Yes.
But it takes a while and you have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So when I like put myself out there, like I'm going to be freelancing, like this is what I'm going to do for my work, forever. It's really just making sure that you keep pushing regardless.
The consistency.
Yeah.
You're right. The consistency and putting yourself out there. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been amazing to have you on today. It's always so fun to connect with you. You're so inspiring and what you've created is amazing. And I'm definitely looking forward to playing with you again soon. So
we will.
And for those of our audience that are watching, can you let them know how they can find you if they're interested in some of your magic?
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram. I post a lot of like behind the scenes and different works that I've done with various shoots. And that is Lips and Lashes with an N by Elise. And then I have a website if you want to check that out. It's lipsandlashesbyelise.com. So
and I'll also make sure to put your information at the end of the broadcast for anyone who's interested. If anyone has questions or want to reach Elise right away, just let me know. But thank you all for watching. As always, I know that there are 100 places that you could be, and I appreciate you being here with me and co-creating amazing with my incredible guests. And Elise, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I definitely look forward to staying connected with you. And thank you all.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I look forward to seeing you soon. And I wish you all an incredible rest of the day. And Elise, hang on with me for a moment.
Okay.
Hey, love. Thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self-hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redman Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.